This is a recording of a webinar summary for maths, for the maths groups which we've been running under the PEN project. I'll just introduce myself. I'm Tim Strickland from FE Sussex, and we're contracted with the ETF to produce a variety of professional exchange network meetings across Sussex, Kent, Essex and indeed Hampshire, which we refer to as PEN 1 and PEN 2. And this short webinar is a summary of what's been going on at several of the maths meetings across those areas. And it's remarkable, by the way, how the agenda is common between colleges. FE Sussex is the consortia company of post-16 colleges in Sussex with associate members in Surrey, and you can see us there on the map. Our tentacles spread down into Hampshire as well, as we help our colleagues out from Hampshire. So if you're one of the Hampshire staff, you're very welcome to this webinar, as is everyone else. Just wanted to run through the PEN project to talk about some of the sector issues relating to maths delivery and administration. Obviously the webinar is designed to be a reference source for colleagues who can't take part in the meetings, and above all the project is to encourage and foster knowledge exchange. The ETF, as you see their logo in the bottom left corner, the Education and Training Foundation, are sponsoring the production of these webinars and indeed the meetings from which the webinars come. And the PEN project, Professional Exchange Network, is designed to get colleagues together to contribute and to exchange knowledge. And the agendas which have set the scene for this webinar have been derived from colleagues in the sector, not thought up centrally by one person. So on our agenda for today is a quick knowledge exchange on AQA changes and developments of GCSE, some information from Pearson. We'll then move into Ofsted workshop sessions, feedback on maths and teaching and assessment of maths. The exchange of success rates, so what's a typical success rate? And then we're going to look at steps colleges have taken to encourage and improve attendance and retention. We're turning to the AQA changes and developments of GCSE. Our colleagues from AQA attended the meeting, and there was some quite lengthy debate about the changes which have been introduced or which are being introduced, the shifting grading system from the current one we're used to the 1 to 9, what that actually means, what is a good pass, what's not a good pass, what are universities going to ask for, what do apprenticeships need to get. And as I say, there was some debate about that and some agreement as well. We also had a look at past papers, or sorry, I should say future papers, specimen papers, which are available on the websites of both Pearson and AQA. And I'm sure as professional teachers you're working your way through those and using them as a learning resource and setting the standard of some of the questions that you'll be asking students in your lessons. They really were very useful. There are other resources which are freely available from both AQA and Pearson, everything from charts to hang up in the classroom with formulae, basic formulae on it, area of triangle, parallelogram, etc., that sort of thing, sine, cosine, tangent rule, all the way through to the past papers, as I mentioned, and also some of the other resources which Pearson's have, particularly books, not to say AQA don't have those, and audio resources as well. Those links to those documents are available in the minutes of the meetings, which you can obtain off the FE Sussex website, or you can just Google AQA and Pearson and you'll pick them up from there. Now I'd like to turn our attentions to the feedback and information exchange we had with Ofsted. Ofsted came in, the senior HMI was present, responsible for English and maths. It was very useful, very informative and very realistic, and understood the college market extremely well. That was the opinion of the people who came to the meeting. And the number of bullet points which I'm about to run through may seem disconnected and disparate, but they all were ones which were mentioned. And as you can see on a knowledge exchange, there was no particular order to which these things appeared. They just happened as they happened. The first thing is to put to bed one of those old myths that there's no particular style of teaching or use of resources which Ofsted recommends. So there's nothing to say you must use IT, you must do this or that. Ofsted are of course looking for the impact of teaching and learning and not a particular style of teaching or use of resources. We had a long debate about E-grade students and where do they end up? Do they go on to GCSE? Do they go on to functional skills? There is no Ofsted policy, so you're not going to adversely affect an Ofsted inspection result with your choice of what you do with students. But of course you must be providing them with the correct opportunity for progression. So a demonstration of progress can be E to D, but evidence is needed to support this. And in a similar way, the demonstration of progress can be students progressing from E to D, but evidence is needed for that. There is no Ofsted policy on what to do. You're making that decision in the best interests of the learner. The belief and the perception that English and maths are limiting grades is not true. However, of course, the outcomes of English and maths are taken into account with notice of learner volume. So if you've got, say, 1,500 learners on GCSE maths, and you've got a failure rate, which means that only, well, let's say of those 1,500 students, only 10% pass at a grade C, then that would be a leadership and management issue, because you've clearly not got the students on the right course. E-grade students enrolled onto level 1 functional skills. Some colleges do that. By Ofsted is not considered to show progress over 1 year. But if you did that as a stepping stone, so for a few weeks and not for 3 terms, then that would be part of an acceptable practice, provided the students are then progress on to a more complex course which extends their learning. And to carry on with that, we also have to say that the initial advice and guidance, the initial assessment of students' learning is vitally important when you're trying to set the roadmap down to make sure that progress is made. So a student who requires improvement, and those profiles are shown to the inspector, is bound to show disparate teaching needs. It's up to the teacher then to employ differentiated teaching and learning to make sure that the needs of every student is met. So the expectation is the teacher adequately plans to fill the skills gap of E-grade students. I'd also like at this point to talk about something which was also raised, which was the business of teachers teaching regardless of what students' prior knowledge was there in the classroom. So there was no assessment of prior knowledge, even if that's a hands up, who knows all about the area of triangle. Just the teacher went in and said the learning objectives for today are the area of a triangle and this is how you do it. Obviously not making best use of teaching time. And that becomes quite problematic or quite a challenge when you've got groups of students in the classroom, some who've done some of it, some who haven't. So it's a strategy overall which enables students to make progress in whatever qualification and whatever level they are at. Just a few things to clear up a couple of or several odd points. Firstly, as a teacher, when somebody walks in the room, it doesn't mean you've got to change your teaching technique. If you got it right, you got it right. And the business of you will use IT or you will ask a question every 35 seconds or something, he exaggerates, is not there. It's not something which is going to be looked for. If we think about E-grade students, again, there's no Ofsted policy about where these students are put. You are making that decision in the best interest of the student. One which we debated a lot, the contextualisation and integration of maths and English. Good practice is showing that subject teachers and maths teachers work extremely closely together to embed maths in the curriculum. So for instance, if you were teaching engineering and you knew you were going to be using the area of a cylinder in the workshop that week, you would hook up with your colleague delivering maths and make sure that that had been covered in maths as well. So the student's getting 2 bites of the cherry, if you like. That requires planning, it requires sitting down with colleagues, and it requires forethought, but it does lead to a much better delivery of curriculum. For students who come in with below a D, the emphasis on making progress, and how you measure that progress, that's up to you as a college. F and G grade students, well, again, they need to be seen to be making progress, and as college strategy on that should be in place, and that will be part of leadership and management judgment. And a final word, that every college has got a cohort of students who are exempted for whatever reason from their GCSE exam. You need to be able to show evidence of why that exemption is being granted. That could be a doctor's note, but colleges must insist that those students who are exempted continue to do the work which they would normally have done even if they don't sit the exam. And the final bullet point we've got there about teachers delivering a whole syllabus regardless of students' knowledge and competence in certain areas of the curriculum is one which we've already mentioned. Actually, some teachers get around that very well by using flipped classroom meetings. We also discussed incentivising students to attend group, and so many strategies for this being used. Meetings with parents if students don't turn up, bringing parents into the initial advice and guidance, the threat and the carrying out of withdrawing students from vocational studies if they don't attend, the sandwiching of maths sessions between two workshop sessions, so students wanted to be in college to do the practical work and therefore had no place to go in between the two. The chasing and stalking of students around college and oinking them out of refectories and smoking shelters and anywhere else they may be hiding when maths sessions are on. Both of those, or all of those strategies were employed. Some colleges phoning students, texting students when they weren't there immediately, not in 4 hours' time, and in some extreme cases sending the bus round to get them out of bed if they were on a GCSE day, say a Wednesday in the middle of the week. A reminder that November 2016 papers are available via EAQA, so you can find those. And things to start thinking and pondering about: where is a grade C? Is it a grade 4? And look at the changes for English when a grade B is required. So colleges with the better results, and we haven't talked about comparing pass rates yet, are providing English or maths top-up sessions, revision sessions in the holiday prior to the exam, maybe 3 hours per GCSE. Some are providing incentive suites, seem to be very popular, of handing out boxes of Quality Street or goodness knows what. And all of this culminates in pass rates at A start to C, which range from, in Sussex colleges, between about 16% and 65%. So I hope that the last few minutes have given you an idea of what went on at those two maths meetings, both for Pen 1 and Pen 2. And as always, if you've got any questions or you want to contribute to the agenda of the Pen meetings, or indeed the webinar afterwards, then please just email me. That's tim@fesussex.org.uk. So thank you very much.